Okay, this project is with polymer clay. So for your project options, you can make a pendant, one pendant with two matching earrings. So that's like something that hangs at the bottom of a necklace and then two matching earrings. Or you could make three charms that are related in some way, like they're the same theme. Okay, so those are the things, those are the options. And now here are the requirements. So the thing that you make has to be pretty small. So no dimension should be larger than 2 inches in any, height or width, depth, etc. And number two, you're going to use tools like this, right? So you have all these specialized polymer tools. They're very small. They're plastic. So you have plenty of tools at your disposal. You also have the best tools ever, your hands. And you need to pay great attention to detail and create consistent textures throughout your piece. And be very, very thoughtful about detail because you're making these tiny little things, okay? So detail makes a huge difference in terms of the quality of what you're gonna make. So that's what I'm looking for to have you earn a 3 or a 4, okay? Now, I don't know why, but I have always had it, I just really like gnomes. I've always liked gnomes. So for my project example, I made this tiny little gnome head. It's definitely not perfect. I did it quickly. So this wouldn't be a 4 for sure. You can see like some inconsistencies here. The eyes look weird. Another thing is that if I was touching my red here, so then when I touched my white clay, the red kind of rubbed off. Do you see that? So it's really important that when you work with this, if you touch something that's a darker color, just make sure your hands are clean before you touch a really light color like white, okay? Polymer clay is totally different than the earthen clay that you use for ceramics. So you don't have to do any scoring or welding or anything like that. You can literally just stick things together and that's fine. When you're done with your final piece, I will heat them in a small little oven that we have in the classroom, and that will make them hard, okay? So that will finish them, but you don't have to worry about scoring or welding. But you do still have to worry about making sure that things have texture where they should, and everything else is the same, okay? Now, I just want to show you, so I made this cute little gnome head, right? So this would maybe be a pendant, and then maybe I'd make 2 other earrings, for example. Or I could make this gnome head, and then I could make maybe like another gnome brother or sister or friend, or maybe a little mushroom because they live near mushrooms, or a tree, or something like that. It's up to you. One thing I want to say about the clay itself is that when you start off, it's going to look like this. It comes in these little packages, okay? It's really important that we keep them really well organized. The clay will dry out and be useless if it's left out for too long. So please make sure that when you're done using them from day to day, you put it back in plastic wrap. So I'll have a lot of plastic wrap there at the station, and you just need to wrap up every little piece like this, keep it together, okay? So when you start out, just take little bits at a time, and before you start actually modeling with it, don't just take it like this and start sculpting. Make sure that you condition it, okay? So I'm conditioning it right now. That just means that I'm like squeezing it and pushing on it and kneading it. It's called kneading, K-N-E-A-D. So I'm kneading it, and if you don't do that, your piece could crack, and that will ruin the whole thing. We can't fix that, okay, after it's baked. So please just make sure you really knead the pieces really well. So this looks really good. And the way you know is that if I fold it, there's no crack, okay? So if there's a crack at all that you see, then you should keep kneading it, right? Then I'm ready to go. So then I would start sculpting. As I showed you, this is what I made, okay? That would be just one of the 3 things that you're gonna make. Then once you have your piece finished, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna get a little eye needle like this, and I will have these, I will have a whole container of these at your table. Okay, so you're gonna get this little eye needle, you're gonna get your piece, and you have to figure out where you're gonna put it in. So I'm gonna go from the top down through it. Now I don't want it to stick out, obviously, right? So you have to kind of measure where you wanna put it in and how far down it's gonna go. So I think if I put mine down like this, this would be, I have about 1/4 of an inch extra. Okay, so whatever you think is gonna be extra and hanging out, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend that you kind of fold it almost like a J or a hook kind of, and this is very bendable, so it's easy to do. So I'm kind of making a hook. Okay, you want the hook to be there because that will hold this in place, and it won't wiggle out once the piece has been dried, or once it's been heated up and it becomes hard. Okay, so once this is in this form, then you're going to hold this securely in your fingers and find a good place to go in. You don't want your loop maybe to stick out in the wrong place, so just be careful about that. I'm going to go straight down. So I'm pushing the hook in. Just be careful, don't force it too much. Okay, now it's down. I'm making sure it doesn't stick out anywhere. And then once that's done, just give it a little twist. And then reposition it where you need it. Okay, so now it didn't go out at all, and it's also, that hook will keep it in place. Okay, so now I have this little loop. Now, once you have your loop, you're gonna find this piece. This is just a ring. Okay, that's also included in the box that will come with this at your station. And you're just gonna open it up. Okay, so you see, if you just pull it out like that, it opens right up, very easy. And then you're just gonna go ahead and put it right in here. Okay, and now I can either attach this to an earring back or an earring hook. It can be an earring, right? And I would simply just close it up, or I could get the necklaces that I have for you guys, and I can put that, I can put it right onto the necklace that I want, right? Now this is just thinking ahead, right? So I'm not actually going to do this first because I have to fire it in the oven. So don't do this step before you actually bake it, but you do have to do this step, right? You do have to put the metal part through it. You definitely have to do that part. And I just wanted to show you where this is going. So the loop part would come after you bake it in the oven. But I just wanted to show you where we're going with this. Okay, so again, I will provide everything. If you wanted to do earrings, you would simply put this on after it's done. Okay, so in terms of steps to be done before you bake, though, all you're going to worry about is just getting the eye hook in, or the eye wire, I guess we'll call it. Okay, so as long as your piece is done with this sticking out, then you can set it aside in the shelf for the in-process shelf, the three-dimensional work in process, and that will be labeled by your class, and that's behind the whiteboards in our classroom, the whiteboards that open and close. Okay, so I'll make sure that you know where that is, but this is what your work should be finished as, just with this little hook sticking out. That way, when all three of your pieces are done, we will bake it in the oven, and when it comes out, it'll be hard and it'll be permanent, and this hook will be in there, and then you can go back and get this little piece and attach it, and then decide whether you're making earrings or a pendant or whatever. Okay, all right, I can't wait to see what you make. Have fun. Bye, Sister Gnome.